Let's talk about the science of sudden insight. In the 3rd century BC, a man named Archimedes steadily built a reputation as one of the greatest scientific minds of the era. Archimedes, who lived in the powerful Greek city-state of Syracuse on the island of Sicily, was known by all the region's kings and generals for his pragmatic problem-solving that went far beyond mere theory. Today, Archimedes is often mentioned as one of the greatest scientific minds of all history, really. But of all of his discoveries, one moment stands out among the rest, not because of what he discovered in that moment, but because of how he discovered it. The ruler of Syracuse had commissioned the creation of a golden crown, properly befitting his standing, but after it was delivered, suspicion arose that the goldsmith may have mixed other metals, namely silver, into the crown to cut his costs in its creation. The ruler brought the problem to Archimedes, who was faced with a difficult question. How do you verify the purity of the crown without melting or damaging it? How do you make sure that it is pure gold without melting or damaging it? He stewed over the problem day and night, turning it over and over again. One day, growing frustrated with this lack of progress, he decided to take a bath to calm his mind. When he stepped into the bath, he noticed that some of the water overflowed over the edges. Suddenly, it hit him. "Eureka!" he exclaimed, leaping from the bath and running half naked through the streets to his workshop. The insight itself that he had had was quite simple. If the crown were pure gold, it should displace the exact same amount of water as a cube of pure gold of the same weight. When he conducted the experiment, he found that the crown displaced more water than the cube of pure gold, meaning the goldsmith had mixed in some other metals that had and taken up more space. They were less dense. I can't imagine that the goldsmith, by the way, met a particularly happy end after this realization. But the way that Archimedes had uncovered the insight during an inactive moment in his bathtub is the point that I want to talk about today. You've undoubtedly experienced something similar in your own life, wrestling with a challenging problem, making no progress on the problem. Then you go on a walk, you take a shower, you go for a drive, and suddenly, bam, the creative insight strikes right when you least expect it. It appears out of the blue, clear as day. It can feel like a stroke of luck, even divine intervention, but it's far from it. As it turns out, there's real science to explain this phenomenon. And it's fascinating to consider how you can use it to your own advantage. A neuroscientist named Dr. Nancy Andreasen spent years studying the patterns that emerged across the lives and careers of history's most creative people. She noticed a common thread: disciplined, structured work followed by rituals of unstructured, undirected, free-floating thought. Dr. Andreasen conducted a series of brain imaging studies to understand exactly what happens during these periods of active rest. She found that the brain is actually highly active during the quote-unquote rest. Regions of the association cortex light up. These are responsible for memory abstraction, pattern recognition, and meaning making. The activity allows people to link seemingly distant ideas, combine experiences in novel ways, and surface previously unexplored connections. Dr. Andreasen wrote, quote, "We were not seeing a passive, silent brain during the resting state, but rather a brain that was actively connecting thoughts and experiences," end quote. She coined the term random episodic silent thinking, or REST for short, to refer to these periods where the brain defaults to creativity when given the space to do so. Importantly, it's the effort and active work leading up to the rest that gives your brain the raw material to work with. That lucky break of creative insight is actually anything but. Your effort, energy, and the inputs created it, whether you realize it or not. I like to think of this as the Archimedes principle. Creative insight equals active work times active rest. Most people default to work or rest, but it's the collision of the two where the magic is found. So, as you think about your own work and life, consider this: work hard and create space for the work to breathe. Your next insight may already be there, waiting patiently for you to stop crowding it out. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope you'll share it with others. If you did enjoy this, you're going to love my first book, The 5 Types of Wealth. It's a New York Times bestseller, and you can order it now on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. As always, until next time, stay curious, friends.